It's quite natural not to want to think about your own demise any more than you have to. There can be almost a kind of magical thinking of, if I don't think about it, if I don't talk about it, then it's not going to happen, which of course isn't true. I mean, there's the other extreme where you think about it all the time, and that's not good either. And many people will think, well, I'm too young to think about it, and that may be true. However, a living will is not about what happens when you die or what happens after you die. A living will is about what happens prior to your death, in the eventuality that you find yourself in need of other people making decisions on your behalf. And it's a document which they can consult, where your wishes will be taken seriously. And that's quite important. I mean, I wish for every last one of us that the end of our lives is pain-free, that we have our faculties, that we can think and make choices and decisions without any intervention from anybody else. But we can't guarantee that that's going to be the case. And there are two main kinds of scenario where a living will is going to be really valuable. And you can adjust it as you go anyway. But it is a legal document. One is that you are terminally ill and so poorly that you are unable to make medical choices on your own behalf. Now, you can't make a choice about what you actively want. In other words, you can't say, I want the doctors to give me this drug, because you can't do that at any point in your life. But you can say, I do not want this drug, or I do not want this intervention, like, for example, do not resuscitate. That's a difficult one, because it depends on the circumstances. You know, in one circumstance you might wish to be resuscitated, and in another you might not. In which case you can specify that if you're able. You know, because there are always going to be eventualities that we can't foresee. But there is also your care should you reach a point, which some of us will, as not being mentally capable of making those decisions on our own behalf. And that's a bit of a nightmare scenario for any of us. So it's quite important that we specify what is and isn't acceptable to us, what our preferences would be, and also who we would want in charge of specific aspects of our lives. For example, there may be some members of our family who we would entrust with our physical well-being, our emotions, our needs, because they are similar enough to us to understand what we want. We may have talked about it with them, but even if we haven't talked about it with them, they know us well enough to know what we would want. You know, that there are certain things about me that somebody who knew me and empathised with me and was of a similar mind would respect. And there are other members of the family who just don't have that capacity. But those other members of the family may well be in a position to look after your financial well-being, for example, and your those kinds of affairs. And you can specify these kinds of things in a living will. So you can kind of set the scene for various possibilities, various eventualities, which mean that you can relax. There is always going to be the eventuality that things happen beyond your control. You know, even if you're young, I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but you know, who knows? There could be an accident at which point you are unable to vocalise your needs or wishes, and so on. So this is something that's worth contemplating, because it doesn't take an enormous amount of effort. I think the biggest effort is thought as to what you would and wouldn't want, and who you would and wouldn't entrust certain aspects of that to. But I think it's an important thing to contemplate. I will put some information in the low bar, links and what have you, that you can search for this on. I'm not an absolute expert in this. I know a little bit about it. If you want to talk about it with me in the comments, of course, feel free. If I can't answer, I'll say so and hopefully direct you to somewhere that may be able to help you. But I do think this is an important thing to at least begin to think about.